Ladies and gentlemen, if you're over 60 and you believe muscle loss is just part of aging, I want you to stop right there. Because that belief is quietly stealing your strength, your balance, and your independence. And today I'm going to show you how to fight back naturally, affordably, and starting with breakfast. You see, as we age, our bodies become less efficient at using protein. This condition is called anabolic resistance. That means the protein shakes, powders, and bars you see advertised everywhere often don't work the way you think they do. But real food, whole, natural, inexpensive food, that sits where the real power is. Let's talk about 8 cheap breakfast foods that help your body build muscle faster after 60 without stressing your kidneys, without fancy supplements, and without empty promises. Many people believe that once they pass the age of 60, muscle loss is unavoidable. They are told it's normal, that it's part of getting older, that weakness, slower movement, poor balance, and shrinking muscles are simply the price of aging. But that belief is one of the most damaging myths in modern health. It quietly convinces people to give up on their bodies long before their bodies have given up on them. The truth is, this aging itself does not destroy muscle. What destroys muscle is inactivity, poor nutrition, and the belief that nothing can be done. When you accept weakness as normal, your body follows that instruction. But when you challenge that belief, something remarkable happens. Your body listens. After 60, your muscles are still alive. They are still responsive. They are still capable of growing stronger. They are simply waiting for the right signals. And one of the most powerful signals you can give your body is proper nutrition, especially early in the day. There is a term used in science called anabolic resistance. All it means is that as we age, our muscles become less sensitive to protein. Younger bodies can eat almost anything and build muscle. Older bodies need clearer, stronger signals. This is where many people go wrong. They think the answer is more protein powder, bigger shakes, and expensive supplements. But more is not better when the signal itself is weak or poorly timed. What older muscles need is not excess, but efficiency. They need real food, properly combined at the right time. When that happens, the resistance fades and muscle building pathways wake up again. One of the biggest mistakes people over 60 make is skipping breakfast or eating foods that spike blood sugar and crash energy. When this happens, cortisol rises. Cortisol is a stress hormone and it breaks muscle down. You can eat protein later in the day, but if your morning starts with stress chemistry, your muscles spend the rest of the day trying to survive instead of grow. Breakfast sets the tone for your entire metabolic day. It tells your muscles whether they are safe or under threat. When breakfast is balanced and nutrient dense, muscle tissue is protected. When it is skipped or filled with sugar, muscle loss accelerates. Muscle loss has nothing to do with laziness. Many seniors want to stay strong, but they've been given the wrong information. They've been told that aches, weakness, and instability are unavoidable. But research and real-world experience shows something very different. When older adults improve their nutrition and move their bodies just a little, strength returns, balance improves, confidence comes back. And here's something that rarely gets discussed. Muscle is not just about appearance or strength. Muscle is an organ of longevity. It controls blood sugar, it protects joints, it stabilizes the spine, it supports the immune system. People with more muscle live longer, fall less, and recover faster from illness. When muscle shrinks, independence shrinks with it. Simple tasks become exhausting. Walking feels unstable. Stairs feel dangerous. This is not aging, this is muscle starvation. Your body does not stop building muscle because you turn 60. It stops building muscle because it stopped receiving the message that muscle is needed. That message comes from 2 things, movement and nutrition. Even light movement paired with the right foods can send that message loud and clear. There is also a deep psychological component. When people believe decline is inevitable, they unconsciously move less, eat less protein, and avoid challenges. The body responds exactly as expected, but when people understand that strength is still available to them, behavior changes, and when behavior changes, biology follows. I've seen people in their 70s and 80s regain strength they thought was gone forever, not through extreme workouts, not through supplements, but through consistency, real food, simple movement, and a shift in mindset. Muscle is adaptive tissue. It responds to demand at any age. You don't need to lift heavy weights. You don't need to exhaust yourself. You just need to show your body that strength still matters. The body is incredibly loyal. It gives back what you ask of it. So if you are over 60 and you feel weaker than you used to, don't blame your age. Ask a better question. Have I been feeding my muscles correctly? Have I been giving my body the right signals? Or have I been quietly accepting a story that was never true to begin with? The moment you stop accepting muscle loss as normal, everything changes. Your choices change. Your posture changes. Your energy changes. And slowly, your strength returns. Aging is inevitable. Weakness is not. Your body is still capable. Your muscles are still listening, and with the right nutrition and intention, they will respond. Many people today believe that protein powders are the shortcut to strength. They are marketed as fast, powerful, and essential, especially for older adults. Walk into any store and you'll see shelves filled with tubs promising muscle growth, energy, and vitality. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people are never told for adults over 60, protein powder is often unnecessary, poorly absorbed, and in many cases, less effective than real food. As we age, digestion changes. Stomach acid tends to decrease, enzyme production slows, and the gut becomes more sensitive. Protein powders are highly processed and require strong digestive capacity to be broken down properly. When digestion is weak, much of that protein passes through unused. What looks good on a nutrition label does not always translate into usable nourishment inside the body. Real food works differently. Whole foods contain not just protein, but the cofactors required to use that protein, minerals, vitamins, natural enzymes, healthy fats, and fiber all work together to help your body absorb and utilize nutrients efficiently. Protein does not build muscle on its own. It needs support, and that support comes from food in its natural form. One of the biggest problems with protein powders is how quickly they flood the bloodstream. This sudden spike can overwhelm aging muscles that are already resistant to weak signals. Instead of triggering muscle repair, the body often converts excess amino acids into waste. The kidneys must then work harder to filter what wasn't used. For older adults, this is not ideal. Muscle building after 60 is not about quantity, it's about timing, balance, and signaling. Real foods digest more slowly, they release amino acids steadily, creating a sustained signal that muscles can actually respond to. This steady delivery is far more effective than a large artificial dose all at once. There is also the issue of blood sugar. Many protein powders contain hidden sugars, artificial sweeteners, or additives that disrupt insulin sensitivity. Insulin is a hormone that helps shuttle nutrients into muscle cells. When insulin signaling is impaired, protein becomes far less effective. Whole foods stabilize blood sugar, which makes protein work better, not worse. Another overlooked factor is chewing. Chewing food stimulates digestion, saliva production, stomach acid release, and enzyme activation. When you drink your protein, you bypass many of these natural processes. The body is designed to eat, not just consume nutrients. That design matters more as we age. Real food also sends a message to the nervous system. It tells the body that nourishment is coming from a safe, familiar source. This reduces stress hormones like cortisol, which break muscle down. Protein powders, especially when used as meal replacements, can actually increase stress chemistry in the body, undermining the very goal they are supposed to support. Let's talk about cost. Protein powders are expensive, especially for seniors on fixed incomes, yet the same or better muscle building results can be achieved with eggs, dairy, legumes, and whole grains for a fraction of the price. The idea that health must be expensive is one of the greatest myths in modern wellness. There is also a psychological component. When people rely on powders, they often neglect meals, they replace food instead of improving it. Over time, this leads to nutrient deficiencies that no protein supplement can fix. Muscles don't just need amino acids, they need magnesium, potassium, calcium, B vitamins, and trace minerals. These are naturally present in whole foods, not isolated powders. Another important point is sustainability. Real food habits can be maintained for life. Protein powders often become a short-term solution that fades with time. When routines break down, so does consistency. Muscles thrive on consistency. Small repeated signals matter more than occasional extremes. The body understands food. It evolved to respond to it. When you eat a balanced meal, thousands of biological processes activate in harmony. Hormones regulate, inflammation decreases, and tissues repair. This orchestration does not happen with isolated nutrients. Older adults also need to consider gut health. Many protein powders disrupt the gut microbiome, leading to bloating, discomfort, and inflammation. A healthy gut is essential for nutrient absorption and muscle maintenance. Whole foods feed beneficial bacteria, which in turn improve protein utilization. Muscle is not built in the gym alone. It is built in the kitchen, and the quality of what you eat matters far more than the marketing on a label. Real food provides information to the body, not just calories. That information tells your muscles to grow, repair, and stay resilient. So if you are over 60 and you've been relying on protein powders, understand this clearly. You are not weak because you need more supplements. You are undernourished in the wrong way. Shift your focus back to simple, whole, affordable foods. Give your body what it recognizes. Give it what it can use. When you do that, muscle building becomes easier, digestion improves, energy stabilizes, and strength returns naturally, not because of a product, but because you align with how the body truly works. One of the most overlooked factors in muscle health after 60 is not how much you eat, but when you eat. Timing is everything. Your body operates on rhythms and your muscles are deeply connected to those rhythms. When food arrives at the wrong time, the signal is weak. When it arrives at the right time, the body responds with strength, repair, and renewal. As we age, the body becomes less forgiving. Miss the window and muscle breakdown quietly accelerates. Hit the window and muscle preservation becomes surprisingly easy. That window is in the morning. When you wake up, your body is in a fasted state. Blood sugar is low. Stress hormones, particularly cortisol, are naturally higher. Cortisol is not bad, but when it stays elevated for too long, it breaks muscle tissue down. This is one of the hidden reasons older adults feel weaker as the day goes on. They are running on stress chemistry instead of nourishment. Breakfast is not just a meal. It is a biological message. It tells your nervous system whether the body is safe or under threat. When breakfast is skipped, cortisol stays high, muscle breakdown continues, appetite regulation worsens. By the time protein is consumed later in the day, the body is already playing catch up. Older muscles need early reassurance. They need to know that nutrients are available. A balanced breakfast with protein, slow carbohydrates, and healthy fats lowers cortisol, stabilizes blood sugar, and turns on muscle-preserving pathways. This is not theory. It is physiology. There is also the issue of anabolic resistance. As we age, muscles require a stronger, clearer signal to begin protein synthesis. That signal is most effective in the morning when muscles are most sensitive. Waiting until lunch or dinner weakens the response. Protein eaten late is often used for energy or stored as fat instead of repairing muscle tissue. Breakfast protein has a priming effect. It prepares muscles to respond better to nutrition for the rest of the day. When protein is consumed early, muscle protein synthesis remains elevated longer. When it is delayed, the opportunity is partially lost. Blood sugar control is another critical factor. Many older adults start the day with coffee alone, or worse, sweet pastries or refined cereals. This causes blood sugar spikes followed by crashes. Insulin becomes unstable. Muscles depend on insulin to absorb amino acids. When insulin signaling is disrupted, protein cannot do its job. A proper breakfast prevents this chaos. It creates a stable internal environment where muscles can repair and grow. Stability is the foundation of strength. There is also a neurological component. Muscles are controlled by the nervous system. When the brain receives nourishment early, nerve signaling improves, balance improves, coordination improves. This reduces the risk of falls, which is one of the greatest threats to independence after 60. Skipping breakfast often leads to overeating later. This puts stress on digestion and increases inflammation. Inflammation interferes with muscle recovery. A calm digestive system supports stronger muscles. Another important point is consistency. Muscles thrive on predictable signals. Eating breakfast at roughly the same time each day trains the body to expect nourishment. Hormones adapt, enzymes increase, nutrient absorption improves. Irregular eating patterns confuse the system and weaken the response. Many people believe they are helping their health by eating less in the morning, but undereating early often leads to muscle loss, fatigue, and cravings. Strength does not come from restriction, it comes from nourishment. The quality of breakfast matters as much as timing. Protein alone is not enough. Without carbohydrates, cortisol remains elevated. Without fats, hormone production suffers. A balanced meal sends a complete signal. The body responds with calm, energy, and resilience. It's also important to understand that muscles are metabolically active tissue. They burn glucose efficiently and protect against insulin resistance. Feeding muscles early improves metabolic health throughout the day. This is especially important for older adults at risk of diabetes. The idea that breakfast is optional becomes more dangerous with age. Younger bodies can tolerate irregular eating. Older bodies cannot. What once worked at 40 often fails at 60. Muscle loss does not happen overnight. It happens quietly, one skipped breakfast at a time, one stressful morning at a time, one weak signal repeated day after day. But the reverse is also true. Strength returns quietly, one balanced breakfast at a time, one calm morning at a time, one clear signal repeated consistently. You don't need large meals. You don't need perfection. You need intention. You need to respect the timing of your body. When breakfast becomes a priority, energy improves, mood improves, strength improves, and most importantly, confidence returns. Your body is not broken. It is simply waiting for the right signal at the right time. Give it that signal each morning, your muscles will respond. One of the most powerful truths in health is also one of the most misunderstood. You do not need expensive products to be strong. Strength is not sold in a bottle, a tub, or a package with flashy labels. It is built quietly, day after day, through simple choices that support the body's natural design. And for adults over 60, this truth is especially important. There is a belief that quality nutrition must be complicated or costly. This belief keeps many people from even trying. They assume that because they are on a fixed income, their health must decline. But the human body does not recognize price tags. It recognizes nutrients. And many of the most powerful muscle-building nutrients are found in the most affordable foods. Cheap does not mean weak. In fact, some of the most inexpensive foods are the most biologically effective. Eggs, oats, lentils, milk, yogurt, bananas, and simple grains have been feeding strong humans for generations. Long before supplements existed, people built muscle, worked physically demanding jobs, and lived active lives well into old age. The modern world has complicated what was once simple. Marketing has convinced people that they need special powders, bars, and drinks to stay strong. But the body has not changed. It still responds best to foods it recognizes. Affordable whole foods provide complete nourishment. They contain protein, yes, but they also contain the minerals and vitamins that allow that protein to be used. Muscle contraction depends on calcium and magnesium. Nerve signaling depends on potassium. Energy production depends on B vitamins. These nutrients work together. Remove one and the system weakens. When people focus only on protein numbers, they miss the bigger picture. Muscle is not built by protein alone. It is built by cooperation between systems. Cheap, whole foods support that cooperation naturally. Another important factor is accessibility. Affordable foods are easy to find and easy to prepare. This encourages consistency. Consistency is more important than perfection. A simple breakfast eaten daily will build more strength than an expensive product used occasionally. There is also less stress involved. Financial stress increases cortisol. Cortisol breaks muscle down. When people feel pressured to buy expensive health products, they unknowingly sabotage their own progress. Simplicity calms the nervous system. Calm supports strength. Cheap foods also tend to be less processed. Processing strips food of its natural structure. The more food is altered, the harder it is for the body to extract value from it. Whole foods arrive with built-in instructions for digestion and absorption. Muscle health is deeply connected to digestion. If nutrients are not absorbed, they cannot be used. Many older adults struggle with digestion, not because their bodies are failing, but because they are eating foods that are difficult to process. Simple foods digest more easily and nourish more deeply. There is dignity in simplicity. Preparing a basic meal, eating mindfully, and nourishing the body sends a powerful message to the brain. It reinforces self-care. That psychological signal matters. The body responds not only to nutrients, but to intention. Another overlooked benefit of affordable foods is variety. When foods are simple and accessible, people tend to rotate them naturally. This provides a wider range of nutrients over time. Variety prevents deficiencies and supports long-term muscle health. It's also important to understand that muscle is a survival tissue. The body protects muscle when it senses stability. Affordable, consistent nourishment signals stability. Extreme diets and expensive products signal scarcity and stress. The body responds accordingly. Many seniors feel that they have missed their chance to be strong, but strength is not about youth. It is about input. When the input improves, the output improves. The body does not hold grudges. It responds to what you do now. There is no magic food, but there are reliable foods. Foods that work with the body, not against it. Foods that support muscle, energy, and independence without complexity. Cheap foods also encourage shared meals and routines. Eating with family, enjoying simple breakfasts, and creating daily rituals support emotional health. Emotional health influences physical health more than most people realize. Loneliness and stress accelerate muscle loss. Connection and routine protect it. The idea that health must be expensive keeps people stuck. Once that idea is removed, empowerment begins. People realize they have control. They stop waiting for the perfect product and start using what is already available. And when that happens, strength returns, slowly at first, then steadily, not because of a miracle, but because the body finally receives what it needs. You do not need to chase trends. You do not need to spend more. You need to trust simplicity. Your muscles are not impressed by marketing. They are impressed by consistency. Feed them simply, feed them regularly, and they will serve you well for years to come.